Most people imagine poverty as a matter of money, circumstance, or lack of opportunity. But long before poverty shows up in a bank account, it roots itself in the mind, and the mind is shaped, often unconsciously, by the people who occupy your daily environment. The tragedy is that individuals rarely examine the influence of those closest to them. They assume friendship is neutral, harmless, or supportive by default. Yet the truth is much colder. The wrong circle traps you long before the world does. You inherit their fears, their habits, their beliefs, and, without noticing, their limitations. A person can be capable, intelligent, and ambitious, yet still end up with an ordinary life simply because the people around them have no desire to rise. Look closely at how mediocrity spreads. It rarely appears as an outright attack on your goals. Instead, it arrives disguised as casual comments, harmless jokes, or friendly advice. When you speak of building something greater, their faces tighten with discomfort. They laugh and tell you to be realistic. They encourage you to take it easy because they resent anything that forces them to acknowledge their own stagnation. The moment you discuss improving your health, your finances, or your discipline, they downplay it. Not because they understand your path, but because your ambition threatens the fragile comfort they have built around their own limitations. People fear ambition because ambition demands change, and change requires responsibility. It exposes laziness. It demands consistency. It forces discipline. These qualities make certain people uneasy because they challenge the lifestyle they are determined to protect. A lifestyle built on avoidance rather than progress. So, instead of rising with you, they choose to keep you at their level. They do this not through violence or direct commands, but through subtle social pressure. Humans crave belonging, and your friends instinctively know that if they can make success feel uncomfortable, you will retreat back into the group. And many do. They abandon their goals not because they lacked ability, but because they did not have the courage to outgrow those who feared what they were becoming. The greatest prisons are often built from the expectations of others. When your circle is filled with people who fear risk, you will learn to fear it too. When you hear constant warnings about failure, you will begin to see danger where opportunity exists. When your environment values comfort over growth, you will feel guilty for wanting more. Mediocrity becomes normal, ambition becomes strange, and soon you forget that you ever desired anything greater. This is why people stay poor, not because they are incapable, but because they adapt to the emotional climate of those around them. And if that climate is cold, stagnant, and fearful, their potential freezes beneath it. Those who fear progress subtly alter the rules of the group. In their world, working hard is mocked. Planning for the future is seen as arrogance. Investing, learning, and improving are treated as unnecessary complications. Pleasure and escape are praised, while discipline is criticized as extreme. They reward behavior that keeps you average and punish anything that elevates you. And every time you conform, you shrink a little. You reduce your ambition to maintain harmony with people who secretly hope you never rise, because your rise would expose their excuses. This dynamic is dangerous because it is silent. People rarely announce their desire to keep you small. They smile, they joke, they claim to care for you, yet everything they encourage pushes you toward the same stagnant life they chose. They want you to succeed, but only a little. Just enough to remain relatable. Just enough to fit the version of you that makes them comfortable. Their loyalty is not to your future, but to the version of you that does not threaten their insecurity. In a world where wealth is built on risk, learning, and relentless self-development, a circle that fears ambition is a direct enemy to your progress. If you spend enough time with those who avoid growth, you begin to see growth as something to avoid. Their beliefs become your beliefs, their ceiling becomes your ceiling, their limitations eventually shape your destiny. This is why people stay poor. They choose their circle emotionally instead of strategically and pay for that decision with their future. Loyalty is a word that sounds noble, even sacred. Yet in the world of human relationships, it is often a veil that hides less admirable motives. Many believe that if someone has been by their side through thick and thin, that person's presence is inherently beneficial. Yet history and observation show that loyalty can mask dependence, fear, and self-interest. Some friends remain attached not because they support your ascent, but because they are invested in your stagnation. They derive comfort from the predictable, from the familiar, and from the assurance that your life will never outshine their own. Growth threatens this delicate balance, and human nature has a remarkable way of resisting threats, even subtle ones, that could destabilize the security of the comfortable and complacent. When someone clings to you while subtly discouraging your ambitions, loyalty is no longer loyalty. It has become a tool of control. These individuals may celebrate your minor victories, but will react with discomfort to genuine progress. They do not wish you harm outright, nor do they seek to actively ruin your life, but they quietly enforce limits, setting boundaries on how far you can advance. In essence, they benefit from your inertia, your reluctance to break free from the collective mediocrity they inhabit. Their loyalty is dependent on you remaining a familiar version of yourself, one that requires minimal reflection, effort, or courage on their part. Consider how dependence shapes behavior. Many people find security not in their own achievements, but in the status quo of those around them. A friend who has little ambition may feel threatened by the potential that your growth represents. If you surpass them, the balance of the relationship shifts. Suddenly, the comfortable equilibrium they enjoyed, where they could measure themselves against you without facing their inadequacies, vanishes. This threat compels them to act in ways that subtly restrain your development. They may question your motives, sow doubt about your plans, or even insist that you prioritize loyalty over self-interest. They frame their actions as concern or care, but their true objective is maintaining an environment in which their complacency is justified. Dependence on your stagnation also arises from envy disguised as affection. Many individuals cannot bear to see others advance because it exposes their own lack of initiative. Your ambition becomes a mirror, reflecting the areas in which they have chosen to remain idle. Confronted with this reflection, they often take a covert approach. They insist that your goals are unrealistic, impractical, or unnecessary. Their loyalty is conditional, rooted in the preservation of their own comfort, and every step you take toward independence, wealth, or personal mastery threatens that conditional alliance. Over time, this relationship can erode not only your ambitions, but also your confidence. The subtle discouragement, repeated often enough, implants a quiet, insidious belief that perhaps your limits are meant to be accepted. It is also important to note that dependence can manifest as emotional pressure. A friend who benefits from your stagnation may provoke guilt, appeal to shared history, or exaggerate the risks associated with change. Remember who you are, they might say, and don't leave us behind. What appears as sentiment is often manipulation. They tether your sense of responsibility to their comfort, convincing you that advancement is a betrayal of loyalty. In reality, their loyalty is not a commitment to you. It is a demand for your immobility. The more you internalize these expectations, the more you inadvertently honor their dependence, remaining within the safe confines of their approval while your potential quietly atrophies. Another critical factor is the normalization of mediocrity within dependent friendships. These friends often establish standards that define acceptable behavior, effort, and success. They subtly enforce these standards by rewarding conformity and discouraging risk. Over time, the very idea of stepping beyond the familiar becomes daunting, not because of actual obstacles, but because of the invisible boundaries imposed by those who have invested in your stagnation. Loyalty, in this context, becomes a form of social imprisonment. The bonds that should elevate you instead tether you to the lowest common denominator of ambition in the group. Finally, dependence disguised as loyalty can also blind you to opportunity. Friends who fear your ascent are unlikely to introduce you to those who could challenge, inspire, or elevate you. They withhold mentorship, connections, and knowledge, not out of malice, but because doing so could accelerate your growth beyond the confines of the relationship. Their loyalty is calibrated to your limitations. Your potential is a threat, and they are motivated to keep you small so that their own position within the social hierarchy remains unchallenged. This dynamic explains why so many talented individuals remain trapped in cycles of underachievement. They believe they are surrounded by allies, yet their friends are invested in their stagnation. The more dependent these friends are on your immobility, the more subtly they act to ensure it. And because their intentions are rarely overt, it can take years before one realizes the quiet sabotage that has shaped their trajectory. Talent is often glorified as the ultimate determinant of success, but it is far from sufficient on its own. Many individuals possess exceptional abilities, yet they never rise above mediocrity. The reason is rarely a lack of skill. It is the environment in which they operate. Human beings are not islands. They are deeply influenced by the habits, attitudes, and ambitions of those around them. The people you interact with most frequently act as mirrors, magnifying your strengths or exposing your weaknesses. They set the tone for what is normal, what is acceptable, and what is possible. If your circle is complacent, fearful, or unambitious, your talent will be dulled. Your potential will be limited not by your own ability, but by the expectations and behaviors of the group that surrounds you. Consider discipline. Talent without discipline is a spark without fuel. It may flare briefly, but cannot sustain momentum. If the people closest to you have no regard for structure, consistency, or effort, their influence is contagious. You may admire hard work, but constant exposure to laziness and procrastination shapes your perception of effort as optional, unnecessary, or burdensome. Over time, even the most disciplined individual will absorb habits and attitudes from their peers. Observing others avoid responsibility, delay action, or rationalize mediocrity makes those behaviors seem permissible. Slowly, your own sense of urgency erodes. Your natural talent, once a source of power, becomes inert, confined by the invisible boundaries established by a circle that neither respects nor practices discipline. Vision is equally susceptible to environmental influence. Ambition thrives in fertile soil, among people who imagine possibilities beyond the obvious, who strategize, and who challenge conventional thinking. A circle that lacks vision normalizes short-term thinking and complacency. Friends who have no goals, no plans, or no desire to innovate subtly condition you to think small. They may not verbally discourage your aspirations, but their behavior communicates what is possible and what is acceptable. Human psychology is profoundly social. We tend to model ourselves after those we admire or trust. If your environment does not stretch its gaze beyond immediate convenience, neither will yours. Even with immense talent, your imagination and ambition will be tethered to the average, and your potential will be constrained by the limits of those around you. Hunger is another key factor shaped by environment. The drive to achieve is not purely innate. It is cultivated by proximity to others who are hungry for more. Hunger is visible. It is the person who reads while others scroll, who invests while others spend, who takes risks while others hesitate. Being near those who are satisfied with little fosters comfort, not aspiration. It communicates that striving is optional, that the pursuit of excellence is unnecessary, and that survival, rather than mastery, is the standard. Even subtle signals matter. Shared conversations, shared routines, and shared values all transmit the norms of ambition. If the people you trust do not crave more from life, it is nearly impossible to maintain a hunger that challenges mediocrity, because their apathy will erode your momentum. The effect of environment extends beyond behavior. It penetrates belief systems. We tend to believe what we see reinforced repeatedly. If your peers repeatedly express doubt about high ambitions, downplay the value of education, or ridicule investment in long-term gains, those attitudes begin to infiltrate your own thinking. Talent cannot compensate for a world you constrained by skepticism and fear. It is one thing to have skill, another entirely to believe it is possible to deploy that skill effectively. The presence of disciplined, visionary, and hungry individuals instills belief, confidence, and a sense of inevitability in achievement. Conversely, being surrounded by lethargy, short-sightedness, and satisfaction with mediocrity breeds doubt, fear, and hesitation. Even subtle social dynamics reinforce these limitations. Group norms dictate what is praised and what is ignored. When effort, planning, and ambition are mocked or undervalued, they become socially costly. We naturally conform to avoid conflict, discomfort, or alienation. Talent may provide ability, but environment dictates behavior. Peer pressure does not end at adolescence. It continues throughout life in subtler forms, guiding choices, shaping priorities, and controlling exposure to opportunity. Those who fail to recognize the power of their surroundings often believe their lack of advancement is due to external forces or bad luck, when in fact it is the invisible hand of social influence that constrains their outcomes. To understand the full weight of this principle, one must examine the subtle ways environment imposes limits on potential. Conversations shape thought patterns, habits normalize effort, and attitudes dictate what is considered acceptable risk. The people we spend the most time with act as constant benchmarks, silently evaluating our choices and modeling the limits of what is possible. Talent may give the individual an edge, but without an environment that values discipline, vision, and hunger, that edge blunts over time. In the absence of the right circle, exceptional skill can be wasted, genius can be muted, and potential can be squandered in conformity to a stagnant group standard. The harsh truth is that environment often matters more than innate ability. Talent can carry a person only so far before it must contend with the influence of those around them. If your circle lacks the rigor of discipline, the clarity of vision, and the intensity of hunger, your talent will bend to the weight of mediocrity. The skills you possess will not vanish, but their power will be diminished. Your destiny will align not with the heights you imagine, but with the limitations tolerated and reinforced by the people you allow closest to you. In the end, the path to wealth, power, and influence is not paved by talent alone, nor by hard work in isolation. It is determined by the company you keep, the alliances you choose, and the invisible forces that shape your habits, beliefs, and ambitions. Friends who fear progress, cling to your stagnation, or normalize mediocrity are not loyal. They are obstacles. They are the silent architects of limitation, subtly ensuring that you remain within the boundaries of their comfort. To rise, to achieve, to command your own destiny, you must recognize these truths, make the difficult choices, and surround yourself with those who challenge, sharpen, and demand more from you than you demand of yourself. Wealth and success are not gifts. They are engineered, cultivated, and defended. The question is no longer whether you can succeed, but whether you have the courage to cut ties, choose wisely, and align your life with the forces that will elevate you rather than chain you to mediocrity.